So when you're being a good friend to someone who's going through a difficult time, it's easy to get caught up in their challenges. And there's a fine line between being a supportive friend and taking on someone else's problems. And this can end up feeling like a huge responsibility. So while it's okay to be concerned or worried about what's going on for a friend, it's important to pay attention to your own well-being and to make time for self-care. So remember, it's okay to put yourself first, and it doesn't mean that you're being a bad friend. When we think about self-care, we usually think about things like showering, brushing your teeth, and getting dressed. But self-care also includes the things that are meaningful and important to us. That could be going out with friends, playing sports, doing creative activities. And often these are the things that are the first to go or are easily forgotten about when we have a lot going on or if we're feeling extra stressed. Self-care is about putting your needs first and making time to do things for you. And this looks different for everyone. So it really depends on what's important to you. What do you do for fun? What activities give you a sense of well-being? And if you are supporting a friend, it might feel like you're juggling a lot of things or that extra time is given for your friend in need. But keeping a balance is important. So having a balanced lifestyle means that you have a mix between the things that you want to do, like your hobbies and your interests, the things you need to do, like eating, sleeping, and relaxing, and then the things you're expected to do, like going to school and doing homework. And at this stage in your life, the majority of your time is spent in school or sleeping. So it's important to connect with the things that bring you joy and happiness in the little free time that you might have. Some people have a really busy schedule between school, sleep, and other commitments. So you may have to actually schedule in time for rest and relaxation. Another part of self-care is eating well. So making sure that you have at least one healthy meal a day and not forgetting breakfast or skipping breakfast. Taking care of yourself means noticing when you need more balance in your life. So you might notice that one thing is taking over a lot of your time, or maybe it's getting in the way of things that you want to do or things that you need to do. And if this happens, you should make time in your day for yourself. For a lot of people, this means recognizing the need for downtime and for doing things that you enjoy and make you feel relaxed. So take a break from the stress of your day and do something fun. There are hundreds of things that people do that they enjoy doing, and what you need to do might vary based on your mood or the time of day. It really just matters that it's important to you and it's something that you enjoy. So some days that could be going for a walk, cooking a nice meal, and other days it might just be sitting on the couch with a face mask or watching Netflix. And if you are supporting a friend, it's normal to experience some additional stress or symptoms yourself. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're becoming unwell. It means that you need to take some time for yourself and to practice good self-care. Because some stress can be a good thing, but too much stress is not. So if you are feeling overwhelmed, or if you're having a difficult time managing, then reach out to a trusted adult. You could talk to your parents, a family member, a guidance counselor at school, or go to your GP for support. Because in the end, everyone's worthy of self-care, and you can be a much better friend and support to others when you care for yourself first.
So what you're really looking for is a change in their behaviour. So if your friend is normally a bubbly, chatty, outgoing person, they might suddenly become very quiet, very withdrawn. They might seem to lose interest in their normal hobbies, activities. They might lose interest in going out. They may stop accepting invitations to hang out or meet up or go to the cinema. You might notice that their appetite has changed. So you might notice that they're maybe not eating with you as much at school or outside, or they might be picking at their lunch. You might notice that they seem quite tired and are yawning a lot because their sleep has been disturbed. So really, you're looking for a change in how they were before. And if you notice those changes, you could check in with your friends and say, look, I've noticed X, Y, or Z, and do you want to talk about it? And sometimes they might want to talk about it, or sometimes they might not just have the headspace to kind of talk there and then, but they know that you're looking out for them. How do you know if it's an emergency, and what do you do? So if your friend says that they feel like, they want to harm themselves or end their life, or they've suicidal thoughts, it's really essential that they do get urgent help. So they might tell you that, and it's really important that they do tell an adult. So if they say it, for example, and you're in school, it'd be really important that your friend agrees to go and tell a teacher, a counsellor, the principal, the year head, somebody supportive in the school. If you're not in school, if you're outside of school, it'd be really important that they would agree to tell their parent, one of their parents. If they don't agree to this, sometimes teenagers, tell you this and say that they have thoughts of wanting to harm themselves or end their lives, and they beg you not to tell anyone. It's really important in those circumstances that you actually do get an adult and seek adult help yourself and let somebody know. So again, if it's in school, it'd be important to approach the principal or the year head or the vice principal or the counsellor yourself and let them know immediately that your friend is after expressing these thoughts. Or you might ring if you have their parents' number, if you know their contact details, you might give parents a ring. But it's really, really important that if your friend is at immediate risk of harming themselves, that help is sought, and that some adult is informed, and that your friend can get the help that they do need.
So if a friend chooses to share with you that they're experiencing difficulties with their mental health, whether that be feeling low or anxious, or that they have felt urges to self-harm or even considered ending their life, this can feel like a really big burden to take on, and people can often feel overwhelmed or unsure about what to do or how to react. So there's 3 things that I would encourage you to do: active listening, validation, and importantly, not promising to keep a secret. So in terms of active listening, it's important, first of all, to actively listen to what your friend is saying. What do we mean when we say that? We all know there's a difference between passively just hearing something and actually listening. And it's really easy to tell from the other person's perspective which one you're doing. So sometimes if we're worried about responding the right way, we can freeze up a little bit to try to protect ourselves. So to actively listen, it's important you put down the phone or other distractions. You make good eye contact, and open up with your body language by facing your friend, and make signs that you're actually hearing what they're saying by nodding, maybe repeating back something they've said, such as, I hear what you're saying. I hear that you're saying that things have been difficult for you. Remember that you might be the first person that your friend has disclosed this to, and if they get a positive reaction from you, it might encourage them to open up more to other people as well. So it's important also to give them space to speak without interrupting them or cutting them off. Silence is okay, and sometimes it provides the space necessary to fully form how they're feeling into words as well. In terms of validating what your friend is actually feeling is one of the most beneficial things you can do for them in that moment. So what validation means is recognizing that the feelings they're experiencing are real and valid. The opposite to this would be saying something like, oh, you're just exaggerating, or we all feel like that sometimes, you'll get over it. Validating someone is saying, actually, it sounds like what you're going through is really tough. I would find it really hard to cope with that. Or I'm sorry that you've been having such a tough time of it. I wish I'd known sooner. Validation tells your friends that their feelings are real, and it removes any sense of shame or guilt for not feeling able to cope or get over how they're feeling without getting help. Importantly, not keeping a secret. So it's really, really important that you don't promise to keep any kind of disclosure secret. So if a friend makes a disclosure and you feel they need help, it's important to tell a responsible adult so that that the right help can be put in place for them. And this, to be honest, is the best thing you can do to help your friend. What you don't want is for your friend to feel that you've broken their confidence or that the situation is out of their control. So to avoid this, it might be useful to discuss the options of who to speak to with your friend. So make suggestions, whether it be one of their parents, one of your parents, a teacher, somebody that they trust. Maybe you could offer to accompany them to support them while making a disclosure to someone else. This is particularly important as well if a friend says they have any thoughts, urges, or plans to harm themselves or someone else, or if they have any thoughts of life not being worth living.
The first thing that I would recommend is to reach out to them. This does sound very obvious, and in this day and age, it's all too easy for us to get caught up in our day-to-day work life, family life. So making that time to support that person is important. Send them a text, give them a call, arrange a place that is safe and comfortable for them, where they will be best able to share what is going on with them if they feel ready to. The second thing is to make sure you're listening when the time does come. So be an active listener. By that, I mean taking on board what they're saying, listening to what it is their needs are at that time, what it is they're struggling with, and from that, you'll get a clearer picture. If you jump in too quickly and share advice, which again comes from the right place and people are afraid, they want to help, but if you jump in too quickly, you're not really listening to what it is that they have to say. So sticking with them and what it is that they are struggling with at that time is very important. Then collaboratively, I would suggest coming up with an action plan. This can mean looking at resources. It might be talking to someone else in their family. It can be something as simple as going on to an app. There's some fabulous apps out there now. One of which I would recommend is Headspace. Is wonderful. On there you get relaxation, mindfulness techniques. It also has a diary where you can chart your progress. The other thing that I would suggest is Get Self-Help. It's a website and it has amazing resources on there too. Aside from that, I would also recommend maybe looking at counselling. They might need extra support. They might also want to talk to Samaritans. So there are lots of resources out there, and just taking that time to go through those resources with them will be very important. The other thing I would suggest is helping them to look at their self-care. So something as simple as, making sure they're getting out for a walk every day, making sure that they're eating well. Are they getting enough sleep? All these things sound like very minuscule things, but they all add up and are equally as important in terms of our well-being and our mental health. So making sure that they are keeping a self-care diary, or just making sure that they're doing one thing every day that will make them feel a little bit better. The other thing that I would also suggest is that there are things that you can say, but more importantly, what not to say when someone has said to you that they are struggling. The thing that really you need to bear in mind is that this is not their fault, and they will probably be placing blame on themselves and pressure on themselves to get better. So it's not a blame game. It's not about putting blame on their family or people around them, but helping them to see that they are struggling and that you are there for them. It's not about saying that they are bad or that they should not talk about this or they should suck it up. It's about helping them where they are and helping them to get to where they need to go. Whatever little part you have in that will be of benefit to them. I would also say, making sure that you don't overtalk things, allowing them that time to talk about whatever is going on. Also, don't try to solve the problem for them. Whatever the problem is bigger than you. The fact that you are reaching out, the fact that you have noticed that there is something going on, that is more than enough support than this person needs. Making sure that they get the support they need is what I would suggest. And just checking in with them every now and again. So that would be the main advice I would give. So making sure that you reach out to them, that you help them to put a plan in place, that you're really listening to what their needs are, helping them to seek out any resources, be it psychotherapy, be it online, and then helping them not to place blame on themselves.
So your friend has confided in you that she's not feeling great, that she's feeling a bit low or a bit anxious, or she's struggling with her mental health. And of course, as her friend, you're going to want to offer support. Support comes in two different ways. Support can be practical and support can be emotional. Very often these two supports overlap, but just for today, I'm going to talk about them separately. Obviously, the first emotional support that you can offer is to listen. We all know that. We all know it's important to listen. But it's really important to validate your friend's feelings. Sometimes when we're worried about somebody, we try to make them feel better and we try to rush to say things that would make them feel better, like, come on, let's go for a walk, you'll feel better. And actually it's important to kind of sit with the tough feeling. So it's about saying something like, I'm really sorry you feel that way, or wow, it sounds like you're having a really tough time at the moment. It can be so more validating for them to kind of feel that you get what they're feeling, and they're more likely to do that if you just acknowledge where they're at rather than rushing to try and make them feel better. It's also important to balance what we expect of our friends with how well that they're feeling. If we have a friend with a broken leg, we're not going to ask them to come running out with us. So if your friend is the type of person who's maybe at all the parties, at all the big social gatherings, just generally the life and soul of the party, it's probably too much to expect them of them at the moment. So it's really important that they get a sense of that they kind of begin to understand that, my friend, she doesn't expect this of me. It's okay if I don't go. That can be hugely supportive in itself. Neither will they be in touch as much. I mean, they may not be talking to you as much. They may not be phoning as much or contacting you over social media as often. But it's still important that they know that you're thinking of them. So something as small as even sending a smiley face emoji or a funny TikTok just to let you know you're thinking of them, that can be hugely supportive as well. And finally, with the emotional support, sometimes friends find it really difficult to talk even to their best friends when they're not feeling great. Sometimes it's because they just can't find the words. They don't know how to explain what the feeling is. So it can be really important for you, if you notice that they're a bit off, that you would say to them, if you notice that they haven't been themselves, if you notice that maybe they haven't been at parties, or when they are out and about that they're a bit quieter, it would be really helpful for them if you could say to them, look, I don't think you're yourself today, or you haven't been yourself for the last while. Is everything okay? Is there anything on your mind? Is there anything I can do to help? Just for them to know that someone has noticed can be the opening they need to begin to talk about how they're feeling. And that can be hugely supportive. In practical ways, we can encourage our friend to partake in activities or to kind of do stuff that they used to do before and that that they'll enjoy and might just take them out of themselves for a little while. Like going for a walk, watching a movie together, maybe meeting for coffee, just having a chat. And I know sometimes people are concerned about the difference between pushing somebody and encouraging somebody, but you're your friend. They're your friend. You're going to know the difference. You're going to know when you're kind of pushing too hard. And it's really important to encourage them to do those kind of things. Also, while friendship is an amazing resource to have when you're not feeling great, it's really, really important to have good friends around you. There may come a time when your friend is going to need to talk to a professional or to talk to an adult to access help. And if you could be the friend to do that with them, that's an incredible support. Because sometimes young people, if they are fearful or embarrassed, they may not know where to begin. They might not want to do it. They may not have the energy or the motivation. And if there's somebody with them who can help them do that, that's a great help. That would be a huge support for them. And finally, just to say a little bit about talking. It's really important that you respect your friend's privacy and that you maintain it. This isn't a news story, or it's not a bit of gossip. And it's really important that you don't kind of talk to too many people about how your friend is doing. Perhaps one other friend in the group knows about how your friend is, and it can be good to kind of chat maybe with that friend to get support for yourself. But it's really important to maintain your friend's privacy. Secondly, don't ask too many questions. Too many questions can be really overwhelming when you're not in a great place, because sometimes you just don't know the answers. Like a simple question like, when do you think this started, can really baffle somebody if they're trying to struggle and figure out when it started. And finally, just with the practical supports, talk about fun stuff too. I mean, your friends first and foremost. Your relationship isn't all about supporting your friend with mental health. It's about having fun and being friends and talking about the ordinary stuff too. Of course, as a friend, you're going to want to support your friend and do as much for them. And sometimes this can be really, really overwhelming. So just to be able to take care of your friend, it's really important that you take care of yourself too.